everybody, welcome. Today we're going to be having some fun doing some wood carving here. In this case we're going to be tuning a couple of balaphones. The balaphone is this instrument here from Guinea, West Africa, originally from the Susu people, emerged from the rainforest about 1235 and has been a major part of the griot, the jali culture, and that music culture since then. You have different incarnations of the balaphone, or that wooden keyed marimba, all over Africa. In this case, what we're using for a bass balaphone is actually a xylophone from Ghana. And traditionally the xylophone was tuned pentatonically, where the balaphone was equihepatonic, or if you add the eighth key, the eighth note, you get a full octave. So this bass here has been tuned in this traditional style of the balaphone. Now what we're going to do, because of this project I have called Songs of the Earth, in which I want to create music that's more harmonious with the natural frequencies of the earth herself, I'll be tuning the balaphones to A432 instead of their current tuning, which is A440. So we'll be bringing them down slightly in pitch. To adjust the pitch on the balaphone, to make it lower, you carve from the center, and to make it higher, you carve from the ends. So you have to be very careful about this, because you can take too much and then you have to go back the other way. I find the keys do go down in pitch a little bit easier than going back up. And you don't want to take too much because you can lose a bit of resonance with the key. So we're going to tune this bass to that A432. We're going to string each key back on there, reattach, and then we're going to take this one apart and do the same thing. So this is what would happen when two jali, or people from a different area, would come together, because traditionally one balaphone maker might have his tuning and all his balaphones would be in tune, where another neighbor might be slightly different. But when they would come together to play, they could tune a balaphone so that they would match each other and create a nice harmony. So that's what we're after today, is harmony and some happy music. So stick around. I hope you enjoy the process. I always learn a lot from working with natural things, and just using my hands makes me very happy. So with this process, I always take lots of tender, loving care with the elements, with the wood, and with the tuning, because, you know, little bits of wood can make a fair difference. All right, here we go. So to begin the tuning process, what we're going to do is string these keys up in a frame so that they'll be floating freely in the air. Then I'll tap them with a mallet and get an idea of what pitch they're at, and then make the small adjustments to bring them down to A432 from A440. So little by little, very gentle and meticulous now. We have to be very careful. We don't want to take too much and go too far. So it's a lot of testing, listening, measuring the pitch, and then making small adjustments, testing again, and so on, very methodically till we have the whole balaphone tuned. Okay, so as I tap here, it's reading plus about 45 cents or 45 hertz above C3. So we're going to bring it down in pitch, and we'll probably have to do every key to a similar degree. Okay, so first you test it, and then you make your adjustment. That probably didn't make much of a difference, but I'm going to test it just in case. Okay, so let's see if that made any difference. It actually brought it down almost 5 cents. So that tiny little bit made 5 cents difference. So very, very carefully, methodically, and slowly. Okay, so what I'm looking for are any bumps, thicker spots. I want to try to bring them down, make it as smooth as I can. And maybe just by making this key smooth, I might be able to bring it to the perfect pitch. Also, when you're pulling, don't pull up into this as it gets thicker. It'll tend to make a little step or a bite. So you want to go down with the slope as you carve the wood. Okay. I'm so nervous. Oh, I don't want to go too far. It's hard not to be. We're at about plus 2, plus 2.5. So just a little bit of a shaving now. I'm going to use the cabinet scraper here. Just very gently trying to smooth out any rough areas. Just take a tiny little bit off here. Oh. Oh my God, we're at plus 1.8. Little tiny beads. Okay. Awesome. That's a good feeling. It took a while, but it's worth it to take your time. Now, all the other keys. Oh, good things take time. Been at this a while now. Sun is going down, and that's totally fine. Taking my time. I'm now almost a full octave from the bass note of C, so that's pretty cool. And the keys are coming down beautifully. Just taking my time, going real slow, and I think it's going to be quite a wonderful, wonderful thing when it's all said and done. So while you're doing this, what you want to do is, in this case, like with this key, if I look at it this way, it's a little thicker on this side than it is over here. So what I want to do as I'm carving it away is just making that as smooth and level as possible in the middle, in the center. And that's working quite well to bring these keys down to the right pitch. So just steadfast, taking your time, double checking often is your best bet. There we go. Good morning, everybody. So we've tuned the bass Balaphone, in this case the Gheel from Ghana, that is tuned like the Balaphone. So we have 2 full octaves here, tuned to a 432. And what I did was I tuned as many as I could before I had to sleep, then finished tuning the other keys the following day. And then what I did was I tuned all of them, little fine little bits of wood taken off with the cabinet scraper to bring them right up to that center of resonance. And all basically at the same time, so that way as the weather fluctuates, it will all be together. So what we got to do now is string the keys together and make sure that as you're doing that, you want to keep this tension really tight around the key and that space in between. So if you have to get up for a moment, make sure that you tie your string off to ensure that tension, because if you lose it, you might have odd gaps or sagging in the line, and then it could touch the frame and dampen the note. So that's what we got to do here. And as I was taking it apart, I noticed that the string had been wrapped 5 times over each key before being suspended, or before being pulled tight, and then, you know, just with a tiny bit of space in between. So that's what I'm going to do for each one. Wrap this mason line, this static line, static meaning it won't stretch, over the key, and then what I'm going to do is basically do that one by one, all along one side, and then I'll do up the other side. The whole time, again, holding that tension. So it's nice and early this morning, and I could use a cup of coffee. Maybe that'll help me go a little faster. But in this case, it's not about how fast you do it, but how carefully and tender and lovingly you do tend to it. So take your time and enjoy your coffee. What we have to do is wrap the key and then put them all together to suspend over the frame. So we make one wrap around, and then we twist this under 5 times, pull it tight to cinch around the key. As we go, we want to make sure that those are as tight as we can get them, and then leave the next key just gently touching it. As we pull it to go over the frame, it should open up the space just enough to make it so that each key will float freely and not be dampened by any contact anywhere. So at this point, just make sure you get it as tight as you can with your wrap before moving on to the next one. Okay, so we have finished tuning the bass balaphone. In this case, tuned with 2 octaves, unlike the traditional pentatonic scale of the Gheel, though it is that structure. So we have tied all the keys on and managed to suspend them over the frame, which is essential for the Gheel and for the full resonance of these keys. So I had to adjust it a few times, stringing it on there, and then pressing the keys closer together, unstring it, stretch it, do it again, and then finally she wasn't knocking on the wood. So with the help of our friend Mr. Newman and Miss Scarlett, let us give it a whirl, see how she sounds. Not bad. Well, we have our keys and our gourds off the Balaphone. Now we're left with a nice bundle of string. So what we have to do is sort it out so that there's no knots, and then weave it over our hand in a figure 8 pattern so that it will lay and stack on top of itself in the bundle. So that way, as we weave it through these wonderful bamboo spokes here that we use to hold the keys to the frame, it won't get tangled up. There. Okay, so we've sorted all the knots out of the string. Now what we're going to do is we're going to lay it over our hand here, and we're going to make a figure 8, or like an infinity symbol, over the back side from thumb to pinky. So we have that, our figure 8s, and what you're going to do is, as you start to weave that back through around the keys, it's going to just gently pull out this way, one bit at a time, ideally. So think happy thoughts. Alright, so our balaphones is now ready to tune. We've taken all the gourds off, all the keys off, and we've buttoned up this rope here to a nice little bundle that we'll use later to reattach the keys. So what we're going to do is, as we want to bring all these keys down to A432, they're in 440 now, in the key of C or A minor. So what we're going to do is, to bring them lower in pitch, you always take some out of the center. And we always want to try to balance out the key as best we can in thickness and that smooth transition from end to end. So as we work in this reductive process, always look at the wood and see, okay, it's a little thicker here. Okay, I'll take that down. Leave the thin spots alone, and then just smooth it all out in the end. So just like with the bass balaphone there, the Gheel, we're going to go little by little, very careful. Okay, so away we go. So close, baby. Yes. Perfect. Morning, everyone. Well, we've tuned our Balaphone to A432. In this case, this Balaphone is in the key of C or A minor. So now what we have to do is attach the keys back onto the frame and then put the gourds on, and should be ready to play. So what we're going to do is we're going to begin by wrapping each key under, over, under, over 10 times from the inside out. Then we go back to the very inside, do another loop, come across, and then we put a loop on the outside, which we bring this under to cinch it down so it doesn't want to wobble too much. And I've seen different methods of doing this with different balafone makers, but this one I'm following because it holds it pretty tight. And that's how the maker himself did this. My teacher's brother did this. So just following that. And what you want to do is do one side all the way down, and then you'll do the other side. You want to make sure that you have a nice little bit of space in between each key so they're not touching and knocking into each other. And that you take your time and you think very, very positive thoughts about your string. Because if you start getting frustrated, it will knot up very quickly. If you can just breathe and stay relaxed, the string responds. For some reason, call me crazy, definitely crazy, but I've seen that time and time again. So I speak from my own experience. Anyways, it's all relative. So as you're tuning, enjoy the process, you know, one bit at a time, and make sure you maintain the tension of the string on the key. Because if you don't, it could loosen up later and then you have to go back and tighten one section. So basically you have to tighten the entire thing, which I've had to do before. So avoid that by being very careful and holding that tension. So you're going to be wrapping it and you're going to grip it in your fingers to hold it tight every time you wrap, and pinch, okay? So take your time, have fun, and hold that good tension. All right, here we go. So first is line it up with the previous key so you get a nice progression. Then wrap it 9 times around. That's 3. Snugging it nice and tight with each one, holding that tension with your finger. Okay, so 2 more. There's 8, 9. Nice and snug. Then we go over the inside now. Like that. Snug it up. Then here we turn our string counterclockwise, bring it around, and then it will wrap over itself and make 2 lines on the outside. Snug that up there. Then take your bundle, put it underneath the bamboo spoke, bring it up and through. Nice and easy. Notice how that goes under, then over. And then here we can set the spacing, a little extra tension to move it up or down. It depending on what you need. You can adjust that. Pinch it there, then we're going to go clockwise here. So you can see this is held. Turn this clockwise and you go around the outside little bit. Then you're going to cinch this down nice and tight so that this comes over the top, and then as it comes through it goes underneath. And you're ready for the next key.
Chantez de l'amour, chantez avec moi ici. Chantez de l'amour, chantez pour le bon esprit. Chantez pour tout le monde, toutes les choses qui habitent la terre. Chantez, 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 chantez. Chantez, 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 chantez. Oh, 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 oh. Ejele ai, alale kajene ai. Ejele ai, alale kajene. Sing, sing for love. Sing with me here today. Sing, sing for love. Sing for the good spirit here today. Sing, sing for all the world and all those things that live upon this earth. Sing, sing for every man. Sing, sing for every man. Sing, sing for every woman. Sing, sing for every woman. Sing, sing for every child. Sing, sing for every child. Sing, sing for the ancestors. Sing, sing for the ancestors. Oh, 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 oh.
All right, well, we got one side down, nice and tight, super solid. And now we're going to do the other side. So everything goes in the opposite direction. So the wrap goes now, it would be what, clockwise around. And then when you fasten the string to the frame, it's going to go counterclockwise with the twist. Okay, so just keep note of that. And ooh, we're getting really close now. Okay, so we're at the last step of tuning our balaphones, putting these gourds back on the frame. So what you do is you stagger the gourds side to side, just offset from the middle of the key as you go down the frame. And what you want to do is make sure that the gourd is centered over the width of that key in between each of these pieces of bamboo. So what you do is you're going to wrap your string around twice, and then from the inside, and then you're going to go to the outside, cross over that string, and then you're going to wrap it around the end of the bamboo, and you're going to do that tension knot there where you just wrap it and you're going to follow that underneath, and it should hold itself pretty well there, but I like to do a couple of them just in case. And then also put the string under one of the bits of rawhide on the frame just to hold it in place a little extra snug, and that way you don't have them loosening and coming off regularly. So That's what we're doing, and that's the last step. Got all the gourds on now. We have one last string to tie. And that's actually the first gourd, the lowest gourd. For whatever reason, my teacher said he always leaves that one till the very last to complete the circle. So anyways, that's what I'm doing here. And this is the very last gourd to go on. So she'll be ready to play. How exciting. How fun.